My husband changed and I can't recognize him. I never considered myself the type to be swept off my feet in a waiting room. Usually, I'm the one people notice first, the confident one in crisp navy trousers, minimal makeup, and a leather satchel casually thrown over my shoulder. I'm Katie, late 20s, lawyer, and tired of the usual parade of macho men who think being brash is charming. I like my partner soft, attentive, maybe a little uncertain, someone I can guide, someone who lets me take the lead without complaint. That day, the office elevator was out of order. Crowds had spilled into the small, sunlit waiting area of the building's lobby. I leaned against the cool glass wall, scrolling through my phone, when I saw him. I'm not exaggerating when I say it stopped me cold. He wasn't striking in a stereotypical sense. He was delicate, ethereal, almost porcelain-like, shorter than me, with a slender build, but everything about him screamed intention and care. His hair was a chestnut brown, glossy, pulled up into two perfectly symmetrical pigtails, secured with soft cream scrunchies that matched the pale lavender of his blouse. Tiny hoops glimmered in his ears, and a thin silver chain rested delicately around his neck. His blouse was tucked meticulously into high-waisted charcoal-tailored pants, the slight flare giving him a graceful silhouette, and his navy loafers, polished to perfection, clicked softly on the marble floor. A small taupe handbag dangled from his wrist, not a backpack, like most men, and he was fidgeting, constantly, twirling a hoop earring between slender fingers, brushing loose strands of hair back into a pigtail, glancing nervously at the other people around him. His blush was faint but undeniable, and he kept biting his lower lip as if he expected someone to scold him for existing this way in public. I was entranced. I've never been subtle about my attraction. Within moments, I was walking toward him, heels clicking in sync with my heartbeat. He noticed me too, and instantly, oh, how adorable it was, he tried to shrink into himself. The tiniest wrinkle of panic crossed his forehead, and he shifted to hide behind a tall man in a gray suit. "Hi," I said warmly, stepping closer, letting my eyes drink in every detail of him. "I'm Katie." He flinched, then lowered his gaze. Hi," he murmured, his voice soft, almost musical, with a nervous catch in the middle. I crouched slightly to meet his eye level, deliberately invading the small space between us, feeling his tension spike as I did. "You're beautiful," I added with no hesitation. "I mean, look at you. I've never seen anyone pull off all this so effortlessly." His eyes widened, and his fingers froze mid-twirl in his hair. Thank you?" His voice cracked slightly, betraying the wave of embarrassment washing over him. The lobby, once bustling, now felt like it had shrunk to just the two of us. A delay in the elevators had trapped us together, and neither of us could leave. He shifted from one foot to the other, tugging slightly at his blouse sleeve, while I leaned casually against the wall, trying to gauge his comfort level. "Stuck here for a while," I noted. "Might as well talk." He gave a small, almost imperceptible nod. "Yeah, okay." We began with the basics: names, occupations. He was James, mid-20s, worked in a boutique across the street. Sweet, shy, slightly hesitant about talking about himself. I smiled, noting how his fingers kept fiddling with a silver stud earring, and how his hair fell gracefully into his face when he moved. "James," I murmured thoughtfully, "you wear your hair so well. The scrunchies, the pigtails, it suits you." He dropped his gaze to the floor, faintly humming a nervous laugh. I like it. I mean, I like dressing this way, but people," he shrugged helplessly, biting the inside of his cheek. "You're not hiding anything from me, darling," I said softly, leaning closer, brushing a strand of hair from his face, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "I like it. You're exquisite." The flush that spread across his cheeks was almost comical, but entirely endearing. I could see his conflict wanting to embrace this side of himself, but fearing judgment. My mind raced with possibilities. He was shy, submissive, a little uncertain, but every gesture, every flick of his wrist, every delicate turn of his head, spoke to a feminine elegance that begged to be celebrated. The minutes crawled by. We talked, laughed awkwardly, shared stories about mundane office mishaps and the absurdity of waiting for elevators. He would fidget, twisting rings on his fingers, adjusting his scrunchies, brushing imaginary dust from his blouse. I noticed everything, the soft shimmer of his earrings, the faint scent of lavender that clung to him, the gentle arch of his eyebrows, the nervous curl of his lips. At one point, he mentioned his coworkers, 3 older women who affectionately called themselves his aunties. They adored him, encouraged his style, and were always giving him advice, gifts, and gentle nudges to be himself. My mind immediately sparked with curiosity. If they supported him, I wanted to. Finally, after what felt like a lifetime compressed into 45 minutes, the elevator was fixed. I could feel a pang of disappointment at our impending separation, but my instincts were clear. I would see him again. "James," I said as the doors opened, "I'll find you. We're not done yet." He blinked up at me, lips parting in surprise, a small, tentative smile breaking through the blush. "Yeah, okay." As I walked away, I felt a thrill of anticipation. He was delicate, shy, hesitant, but also captivating and utterly mine. I could hardly wait to learn every detail about him, to explore every facet of his femininity, and perhaps to guide him into the confidence he hadn't yet realized he deserved. And I knew, absolutely knew, that this was just the beginning. I couldn't stop thinking about James after that first encounter. His delicate fingers twisting the silver hoop in his ear, the careful way he tugged his scrunchies into place, the nervous flutter in his eyes, it all played on repeat in my mind. I needed to see him again. Luckily, the aunties were eager to help. I tracked them down at his boutique, a charming little shop with pastel displays and carefully arranged outfits. I introduced myself with my usual confidence, letting my presence fill the room. "Oh, you mean our darling James?" one of them squealed, a plump woman with a bright smile and maroon cardigan. "We were hoping someone would notice him like this." The other 2 giggled, nodding. Yes, he's delicate, yes, but he's also shy. He won't come to anyone first. He needs, encouragement." I smiled, feeling a surge of amusement and excitement. "Encouragement, huh? Sounds like a challenge I'm more than happy to take." They leaned in, whispering his schedule, noting which days he styled his hair differently, when he wore jewelry, which outfits were his favorites. James was heterosexual, shy, hesitant, but yearning for someone bold enough to pursue him. Perfect. By the next day, I had a plan. I positioned myself near his boutique during his lunch break, pretending to browse nearby shops while my eyes stayed on him. And then I saw him, my James, walking out into the warm sunlight. Today, he wore a soft mint green blouse, tucked into a beige, high-waisted skirt, delicate tan flats peeking out. His chestnut hair was styled into a low bun, fastened with a cream ribbon. Tiny studs sparkled in his ears, and a cream leather satchel hung from his wrist, matching his flats. He looked around nervously, clearly hoping not to be seen. And there I was, standing boldly across the street, unable to resist a smile. The moment our eyes met, his entire body stiffened. He froze, then darted toward the corner, as if trying to vanish. I didn't hesitate. I gave chase. My heels clicked sharply on the pavement, adrenaline coursing through me. He turned into a narrow alley, pressing against a wall to hide, cheeks flushed deep pink. "James," I called softly but firmly, stepping closer until the wall behind him blocked his retreat. "Don't run from me, sweetheart. I just want to see you." He shrank slightly, biting his lip, hands pressed to his chest. You're, making fun of me?" he stammered. "Darling, I'm not making fun of you," I said, leaning in just enough to brush my hand along his arm. "You're beautiful, absolutely, irresistible." His eyes widened, then darted to the small beige satchel dangling from his wrist. It tipped slightly, spilling a glimpse of pink lipstick, a silver hair clip, and a lace handkerchief. My eyes sparkled with curiosity. "Ah, so these are yours, huh?" I asked playfully, picking up the lipstick. "Tell me, do you use this?" He froze, then flinched, trying to snatch it back. Yes, but please don't." I pressed gently against his shoulders, cornering him. "Darling, you will show me, right now." With hesitant fingers, he opened the lipstick, glancing at me like he expected me to burst out laughing. I didn't. I guided his hand to apply it gently to his lips. His lower lip quivered, the faintest sheen of pink appearing. "There, I whispered, tracing a finger along his jawline. Perfect. You see? Absolutely beautiful. Don't ever hide this. He breathed shakily, eyes wide. You really mean that? Of course, honey, I said, pressing a kiss to his temple. I adore you exactly as you are. I couldn't resist brushing a hand through his soft chestnut hair, feeling the warmth of his scalp beneath my fingers. I wrapped my arm around his waist from behind, gently guiding him closer. His small hand tentatively rested on mine, holding it like a lifeline. I don't know, he murmured, shyness leaking into every word. I'm so, different. Different is beautiful, I whispered in his ear, letting my confidence envelope him. And I'm here. I won't let anyone, especially you, forget that. You're my darling, my sweetheart, my precious James. The moment hung between us, filled with fluttering breaths, flushed cheeks, and the quiet hum of the city beyond the alley. I leaned back slightly, holding his gaze, letting him catch his breath. You want to, go out sometime? I asked casually, letting a teasing smile play at my lips. Lunch? Coffee? He blinked, clearly overwhelmed, but a shy smile broke through his panic. Yes, I'd like that. I squeezed his hand. Good, because we're not done yet, sweetheart. Not by a long shot. We walked back toward the main street, holding hands. I could feel his small, delicate grip tightening around mine, a silent promise that he was beginning to trust me. And as we parted later that afternoon, I could see the faintest flicker of excitement in his eyes. He might be shy, hesitant, and painfully aware of how different he was, but he was mine, and I would make sure he never doubted how beautiful, cherished, and adored he was, both for himself and for me. The morning of our date, I could barely contain my excitement. I had called James's workplace the night before, not directly, of course, but through the ever-helpful aunties. They squealed and cooed the moment they answered. "Oh, Katie," one of them gushed. "You're coming today? He's going to be so nervous. And, his outfit..." I grinned, leaning against the doorway of my office. "Details, please. I want every last one." The aunties were delighted to oblige. They described his ensemble in loving detail, a soft blush pink blouse with pearl buttons, tucked neatly into a high-waisted cream skirt with subtle pleats. His hair was in a loose bun, held together by a mint green ribbon, and tiny gold hoops glimmered in his ears. A delicate bracelet dangled from his wrist, and his beige flats were polished to perfection. "He looks like a little angel," they cooed. "And today, we're trying to get him to wear the rose lipstick we gave him. It's a bit daring for him." I chuckled, knowing exactly how I wanted to play this. A gift in hand, I left my office and drove across town, heart thudding in anticipation. When I arrived at his boutique, I spotted him immediately. James, my beautiful, nervous James, stood behind the counter, adjusting the cuffs of his blouse. He froze when our eyes met, cheeks pink, lips parted in surprise. The rose lipstick the aunties had mentioned peeked temptingly from his bag, a silent testament to the tiny challenge that awaited him. "Hello, darling," I said softly, stepping forward. "You look incredible." His gaze fell to the floor, and he fumbled with the ribbon in his hair. Thank you. You came." I held out the small box. I'd brought a delicate hair clip, mint green to match his ribbon, with a tiny rose design. "For you. I thought it would complete your look today." His fingers trembled as he took it, and I leaned closer to help him attach it. The scent of his hair, soft, clean, faintly lavender, filled the space between us. His bun loosened slightly as I pinned the clip in place, strands of hair slipping into delicate curls around his face. I couldn't resist brushing them back with my fingers, letting the warmth of his skin seep into my palms. "You're perfect," I murmured, letting my lips brush against his temple. "Absolutely perfect, darling. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise." He swallowed hard, eyes wide and glimmering. I'm scared. People might, judge me." I cupped his face gently, tilting it so our eyes met. "James, sweet love, you're mine. I adore you. Every soft, delicate, beautiful part of you. You'll never be a typical man, and that's wonderful. That's you, and I love you exactly as you are." A small, nervous laugh escaped him, but the tension in his shoulders melted slightly. I could see him processing my words, feeling the truth in them, and when he finally smiled a shy, hesitant curve, it lit up his entire face. We left the boutique hand in hand, walking toward a nearby park where I had planned a casual picnic. Every step he took in his beige flats, every flick of his ribboned bun, every delicate sway of his skirt, it mesmerized me. I couldn't resist leaning close, pressing my cheek against his hair, inhaling the subtle lavender scent. At the picnic spot, I pulled out my second gift, a small bracelet to match his earrings, rose gold with tiny mint green accents. "For the rest of your look," I said, fastening it around his wrist. He flinched slightly at my closeness, but allowed me to adjust it, and I could see his confidence growing in tiny increments. "You look absolutely radiant," I whispered, brushing a curl from his face. "Let me fix your hair, darling. Just a little adjustment." I took the loose strands and carefully tucked them back into his bun, pinning them discreetly. My fingers lingered over the soft nape of his neck, the delicate curve of his jaw. He leaned into me tentatively, letting me take charge, letting me guide him into the elegance I knew he secretly craved. When I pulled back, I traced my fingers along his earlobes, brushing against the tiny gold hoops. Every detail, coordinated, intentional, perfect. I murmured, smiling. "You're beautiful, James. You truly are." He flushed deeply, looking down, then murmured, Why do you call me all these names? Darling, sweetheart, precious." I took his hands in mine, tilting his chin gently upward. "Because love, those names express how I feel. They're not just words. You're special, more than just a name can capture. You're my heart, my delight, my precious one. And I want you to feel it every time I speak." His eyes glimmered, lips parting slightly. Do you really love me? You don't think I'm strange?" I smiled, brushing a thumb over his lower lip. "James, I adore you, every little piece of who you are, and I'd never find that strange. I love you, truly, completely." His hand went to my cheek, and for the first time, he whispered it back. I love you too, Katie." The words hung between us, weighty and light, all at once. I couldn't resist leaning in, capturing his lips in a slow, tender kiss. He hesitated, then melted into me, soft, shy, but entirely present. Multiple kisses followed, playful and gentle, punctuated by whispered, "I love yous," and small, affectionate touches. We spent the afternoon wandering the park, enjoying casual conversation, but also the intimacy of shared silence. He began to relax, adjusting his posture, holding his head higher, letting his femininity shine without fear. When he complimented my outfit, a crisp white blouse with tailored navy pants, I felt a thrill of pride. He was learning to celebrate himself, just as I celebrated him. Before returning to his boutique, I nudged him toward the auntie's counter. "Go on," I said, smiling. "They deserve a thank you. And maybe a little kiss on the cheek, if you're brave." He blushed furiously but obeyed, giving each of them a shy peck on the cheek, hands slightly trembling. The aunties squealed in delight, teasing him lovingly, and I laughed quietly at the sight. He glanced at me, eyes sparkling, and I knew he felt proud, accepted, and more confident than ever before. As we walked away from the boutique, hand in hand once more, I leaned close and whispered, "Darling, today was just the beginning. Next time, dinner, a proper night out, you and me." He smiled softly, cheeks still pink, and whispered, I can't wait, Katie. I really can't wait." Weeks had passed since our first date, and James had transformed not just in appearance, but in confidence. He was still delicate, still meticulous, still breathtakingly feminine, but now he walked taller, held his head higher, and carried himself with a quiet pride that made my heart swell every time I saw him. Our Saturday outing began at a small, bustling cafe downtown. I spotted him immediately, seated near the window, his long legs crossed elegantly beneath a soft lavender skirt. His blouse was a creamy white with tiny embroidered daisies along the cuffs, sleeves rolled delicately, and a pale pink scarf tied loosely around his neck. His hair, styled in a messy braid with gold hairpins scattered throughout, shimmered in the sunlight. Tiny hoops and studs sparkled in his ears, and a matching bracelet glimmered on his wrist. Every detail down to his beige ballet flats was intentional, beautiful, and unmistakably him. "Darling," I whispered, sidling up to him. "You look radiant, absolutely radiant." His face flushed, and he shifted slightly in his seat, adjusting the scarf with a nervous flick. I tried," he murmured, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "I wanted to look nice for you." "You always do," I said, brushing my fingers lightly along his forearm. "And now, look at you. You carry it with pride." We walked together through the nearby park after lunch. The crisp winter air mingled with the faint scent of his perfume, lavender and vanilla, wrapping me in a sense of warmth and intimacy. For the first time, he didn't shy away from attention. When a passerby glanced curiously at him, he held my hand a little tighter, standing taller, and returned the smile. I felt a surge of pride and affection. "See?" I whispered. "You're beautiful, James. Everyone can see it now." He glanced down at me, eyes shimmering. I feel braver. Because of you, Katie. You believe in me." I pressed a kiss to his temple, feeling the soft heat of his skin beneath my lips. "Always, darling. I've never wanted anything more than to see you confident and proud, to see the world admire what I've known all along. You're perfect." Later, we stopped by a boutique I had chosen specially for him. I led him toward a rack of soft silk blouses, skirts, and delicate scarves. "I thought we could pick a few new pieces together," I said, eyes sparkling. "Something to celebrate you, and maybe challenge you a little." His hands hovered over a pale blue blouse, fingers grazing the fabric. I don't know if I can pull that off," he admitted. I guided his hand, placing it gently over his shoulder. "James, darling, you can. And you will. I'll be here the whole time." He smiled shyly, the first glimmer of true self-assurance. We selected a few pieces together, coordinating accessories, scarves, and hairpins. I helped him try them on, brushing his hair, adjusting his earrings, and securing scrunchies in place. Each touch, each adjustment, each whispered word of affirmation built a quiet intimacy that neither of us had ever felt before. As we stepped outside, James stopped mid-step. "Katie?" His voice was low, trembling slightly with emotion. I've never felt loved like this. I'd do anything for you." I cupped his face in my hands, holding him close. "And I'd do anything for you, my darling. You're my heart, James. My perfect, delicate, beautiful heart. And I will never let you doubt that." We walked hand in hand, basking in the warmth of our connection, until the sky turned a deep, dusky pink. I pulled him into a secluded corner of the park, pressing him against me as I whispered, "Promise me, darling, that you'll never hide who you are, that you'll embrace every soft, beautiful part of yourself." "I promise," he breathed, pressing his lips to my cheek, then to mine, in a tender, lingering kiss. We spent the evening in quiet intimacy, planning for the future. Talks of moving in together, meeting families, and sharing our lives unfolded naturally. I held him close, feeling the warmth of his slender body, the softness of his hair, the gentle curve of his features pressed against mine. Finally, as the night drew on, we sat on a park bench, wrapped in a shared blanket. I brushed a stray curl from his face, pressing my forehead to his. "James, you are perfect. I never want to let you go." He leaned into me, eyes glimmering with tears of happiness. "Katie, I'm the luckiest person in the world. I've never had anyone love me like this. I'd do anything for you." "You already have," I whispered, "just by being you. And I will love you always, as you are, forever." He rested his head against my shoulder, and I held him tight, feeling the steady rhythm of his heart against mine. For the first time, I felt complete, the perfect balance of strength and tenderness, dominance and vulnerability, guidance and acceptance. As the city lights flickered on around us, James lifted his head slightly, looking into my eyes. "Katie, you changed my life. I can't imagine it without you." I smiled, brushing my lips against his. "And I can't imagine mine without you, darling. Not now, not ever." Hand in hand, we watched the night settle over the park. Every soft whisper, every gentle touch, every tiny kiss reinforced the truth we had discovered together. Love wasn't about tradition, or who wore what, or how the world saw us. It was about acceptance, trust, and the courage to be exactly who we were. And in that moment, I knew one thing with absolute certainty. I would never let him go. James was mine, delicate, radiant, beautiful, and I would cherish him for the rest of my life. The future stretched before us, bright and open, full of laughter, love, and the quiet joy of two souls who had found their perfect match. And as I held him close, whispering soft promises of forever, I realized I had never been happier or more certain about anyone, ever.